Hello and welcome to The Scoop from Wisden. In a packed show, we speak to Scotland's skipper Richie Berrington about the harsh new reality for associate nations who have the cheek to want to play in the World Cup.
How can we play more games at a higher level against the best teams?
We head to Pakistan, where Babar Azam's back as skipper and in the runs, but his team have forgotten how to win.
They've been in this nosedive situation since the last two World Test Championships.
After the issue of Usman Tariq's action reared its head again, we speak to one of English cricket's most rarest things, a successful leg spinner, about coaching spinners and the psychological scars of being labelled a chucker.
If I come across somebody like Tariq, it is so exciting. It just makes me so happy to see somebody that unique.
We salute Roston Chase's boys in our social media roundup of the week.
May you continue to rest in peace. Thanks.
Effortlessly brilliant. And in Flashback Friday, we head back 70 years to the day and the single greatest bowling performance in the history of Test cricket. All that and oodles more. Pakistan's Test team are a team in distress. They've lost 7 of the last 9, 13 of the last 17 across the last 3 years. It's 8 defeats in a row away from home. They just got beat by the West Indies in Trinidad. A second test and a huge test now comes up imminently starting this weekend. Roha Nadeem, the great Roha Nadeem, after a few weeks away, is back with us from Pakistan. Dare I ask, is this a team in free fall?
Hi, Phil and Regina. That's the right word for now, I think. Unfortunately, this does seem like a free fall. They've been in this nosedive situation since the last two World Test Championships. So going into this one and with a new captain, a new coach, a new mindset, we were kind of optimistic, but there was still this lurking fear and sort of apprehension about, the batting, and that was fully exposed once again. Now, mind you, the pace problem is still there. Even though Shaheen and Naseem were overlooked, Hassan Ali was overlooked, and now we've brought in this new attack. You cannot really call them your express pace fast bowlers, but they still did their job. So Pakistan now need to understand that taking 10 wickets is not the only way that you win a test match. You have to put up runs on the board. You have to put up that fight.
You mentioned the lack of the quicks. Just briefly on this, because it's an ongoing topic. Is it cyclical, or is it a sign of a more terminal decline that we're not seeing enough quick bowlers coming through and being looked after and nurtured?
I don't think that we don't have enough fast bowlers in Pakistan. Just saying that out loud, it's just odd, and it's something feels wrong when you say that there's no pace in Pakistan. I don't think that that's the problem. It's not an availability problem. It's not a resource problem. It's not a talent pool problem. It's only a development problem when it comes to red ball cricket, because the attraction towards playing red ball cricket has sort of been on the decline, especially for fast bowlers. Now, in this series, we were kind of saved because the conditions didn't demand express pace as much, but we still saw the bowlers do their jobs. Come England series, that problem is going to get more and more exposed, and that is something that Pakistan will have to think about, in their upcoming assignment in England. But I don't think that it's a talent problem. There's a ton of fast bowling talent in Pakistan that is unearthed year by year through, tournaments, domestic, and of course in the PSL as well. But somewhere down the road, they just lose that track of making it to the red ball team. And now, because the Pakistan Cricket Board has separated the central contracts, so essentially we will now be able to identify which players will be playing exclusively red ball cricket. And then through that, maybe in the next 2 years, 3 years, there will be a deeper talent pool to pick from. But right now, unfortunately, just that talent isn't really coming through from the circuit.
Roha, can you actually give us some reasons for optimism for this Pakistan team?
Come on, throw us a bone here.
I think you can never look past Babar Azam when it comes to finding optimism in this Pakistan side, whether it's in the test format, whether it's in any other format. Now he's back as captain. And as I said before also on this show, he is Babar 2.0 for me, because with the confidence that he's showing, unfortunate that there was no one on the other side to support him, but he looks like he's in for some big runs in the upcoming matches. He batted brilliantly. Some people still found things to complain about in that innings, that he wasn't, taking all of the pressure himself, and he was getting the tail enders to face the next overs. But I think it's very unfair. Babar has batted brilliantly, and I'm looking forward to what he does in England as well. Another cause for optimism in this team is Mohammad Abbas, who has just been brilliant in this match and also in the previous series against Bangladesh. He has now taken 118 wickets in this format at an average of 22.38, which means that he has surpassed the great Imran Khan when it comes to wickets and when it comes to the average. Now, he has been overlooked for the last few years because he's not that express pace fast bowler, but he's been brilliant even in that partnership with Babar, played some really nice shots. So it's good to see Babar and Mohammad Abbas leading the way. Unfortunate that Shan will be missing out, but when it comes to hope, I think there's always something to look forward to with this side.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As you say, Shan Masood made that 100, but then busted his finger. So he is now a doubt, unfortunately, for that England series coming up. Roha, thanks ever so much for your time. If I know anything about Pakistan cricket, then you'll win by an innings at the Queen's Park Oval in that test match starting this week. Regina.
Yes.
Your inside scoop.
Well, inside scoop this week stems from watching Trent Rockets versus Birmingham Phoenix. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did see it. I saw it live.
Yeah, it was a good game, but it did have a bit of a point of discussion, which was Usman Tariq, who was questioned by Tim David after, of course, nicking off. Tim David turned around to the umpire and was like, "What is this?" Because there is that question over Usman Tariq's action.
So what did David actually do specifically?
He literally went like this to the umpire
as if to
try and say he's chucking it. Which Usman
to
Tariq,
indicate a no ball, right?
Yeah, to indicate a no ball. And Usman Tariq has been called out for chucking before in the PSL in 2024 and 2025, which he's been cleared of twice.
Right.
And of course, he's come to England. He played for Warwickshire in the Blast. He had a really good season with them as well in the Blast, taking quite a few wickets. And he's now become a good character in English cricket. But it does bear the question about the legitimacy of bowlers, not necessarily the actual legitimacy, but the surrounding part of it, the psychological aspect that goes into it, of what that mark kind of leaves on you and how you're constantly thinking about your arm, as well as kind of what goes into the preparation behind the scenes to ensure that you can, get away with it maybe better.
And also how players on the field, opponents, what they're policing their own game here, So it was, to me, it looked like a line that was crossed by Tim David.
100%. I think it's something that should be discussed between coach and player. And if you do have an issue, you go in afterwards. And I think that's with any complaint, obviously, on the field and stuff like that. Umpires give your relevant warnings. But it's unnecessary and maybe causes a bit of embarrassment. And I actually felt for Tariq, because he went on a podcast this week with Beer Before Wicket and spoke about what it's like being a player that is scrutinised quite a lot for his action, having that kind of uniqueness about him. And I actually felt really horrible for him, because I can't imagine what that does for a character and does for your reputation. You're 30 years old playing cricket now. You're not going to change your action fully just because someone says you have to.
But also, crucially, the two times he's been called, he's been cleared
exactly.
Both times.
So for this week's Inside Scoop, I thought it would be beneficial to actually speak to a specialist spin coach and currently Middlesex's coach, Ian Salisbury, about what it's like working on the front line with spinners, and also what it's like in sort of that atmosphere of legitimate actions and ensuring that you can get the best out of your bowlers. Firstly, from a bowling coach perspective, how does Usman Tariq generate so much power through his action? Ravi Shastri actually said last night on the 100 broadcast that the size of his hands have a large part to play in it. But can you actually go through the mechanics of it all?
I mean, it's difficult to... this guy's he's 30 years old. He's been doing this his whole life. And like any muscle memory, you keep doing something. It's taken him this long to, come to the fore. He would have been practicing this for years and years. I can only speak on behalf of knowing Takleh Mushtaq very well when he had his doosra. And he used to practice for years and years with tape ball, tennis balls, throwing against the wall, before he even attempted to do it with a cricket ball. So these guys will have been doing this for years and years with their natural attributes. So that to Tariq, it's just normal. But to the normal human being trying to do what he does, which is so unique, it would be very difficult and take years of practice.
As a bowling coach, Sauls, for many, many years, when you are faced with a bowler who has an unorthodox, abnormal action, such as Tariq's, but there have been many through the years, is there a danger when you're coaching them of coaching the magic out of them, that you need to keep that uniqueness, that individuality, because that's what makes them special and notable in the first place?
I can't speak for every spin coach that's ever been, but if I come across somebody like Tariq, it is so exciting. It just makes me so happy to see somebody that unique. And the last thing I would do would be to try and coach that out of anybody. A point of difference in the game of cricket, whether you're a batter or a bowler, fielder, is something to celebrate rather than try and coach out of somebody. So I think as a coach, first of all, you just work out how consistent it is. That would be my first thing. So obviously, if somebody could do it once, you're intrigued to see if they can do it twice. But obviously, somebody like Tariq who can do that consistently now, I think it's a celebration of cricket, and we should really embrace it rather than try and look for holes in it.
Yeah, no, well said. Is it almost like an occupational hazard when you have, especially young spinners coming through, that you are having to look at the angle, the threshold of the arm, the degree of flex in the arm, because it's almost unavoidable in spinners up to a point, and that you have to be mindful of that when you're bringing young cricketers through in particular?
Yeah, I mean, obviously then when you do see something unique, whether that's in fast bowling or spin bowling, you have to then, the rules are rules. There is degrees that you're allowed, hyperextension, which Tariq does with elbow. I think you have a duty of care, particularly with young cricketers. You don't want to move somebody forward and then their action gets called. There's so much of a duty of care, especially with youngsters. You have to go work with their parents, their coaches. But there are protocols that you can use during the ECB. You can get the video, take a video from all angles, send it to the ECB. Somebody from biomechanics, I know people like Peter Such look at all these actions just to make sure it's safe and legal, because you don't want to be in a situation where potentially a kid gets the higher honours and then all of a sudden gets called, because the backlash mentally and physically for that young kid, boy or girl, and for their parents could be quite catastrophic. And so if you're slightly suspicious, just take some videos, but you can send it to the right places to get it checked.
Can I just briefly ask you, Sauls, why is there such an outcry around this subject? What is it about bending the arm in cricket that is such a no-no? What's the benefit and why the outcry?
I mean, the outcry is that it's obviously been successful. You could be a victim of your success. And so people are looking for an angle, literally, excuse the pun.
I will.
But I actually feel for Tariq. He's got it checked and checked. So there obviously must, because he is slightly unique and delivers, I think you have to be above shoulder height as well. So there's a certain level where you have to deliver it from. And then if people get out to it, then there's obviously got to be a rip. Batsmen can find an excuse for anything when they get out. You know, it could be somebody moving in 8 rows back 20 yards to the left of the sight screen and it's their fault. So anytime they think there's suspicion, but obviously rules are rules, and umpires know all this. You know, batters have their bats checked when they walk out to bat. You know, this guy has had his action checked and checked. So I agree with what he said about batters shouldn't be ruling the game. That umpires are there for a reason. So are cameras, and so are the people who do biomechanics within, the rules of the game.
Are we too strict with the degree of allowance for bent arms? I mean, a study in 2004 showed that around 99% of international bowlers actually technically chucked it. And that's up the threshold now to 15 degrees across the board. And does that mean that we need more flexibility kind of built into the system for these bowlers?
I think that the rule makers have to find the level of what you can do. I think when they did one originally, I can't remember who they were trying to do, but I remember seeing the results, and somebody who you would have thought would have had the most perfect action, Glenn McGrath, was actually illegal on the rules that they were following. So hence they had to relook at, but this is before hyperextension. And if you look at Tariq, his arm hyperextends. So he goes back before it goes forward as well, which can also give the illusion of it's moving more than it is. But changing rules that have been there years and years, always a dangerous call. But is there now more technology just available? I mean, I'm chatting to you. I'm in Worcester. I don't know where you guys are, but we could do shows like this and chat. Surely, maybe, like anything, revisit some rules. What's acceptable? What's not acceptable? But I think there always has to be boundaries, whichever way you look at stuff. Because if you haven't got rules in place and certain degrees, then you could be changing the whole history of cricket and bowling. So I think there should be boundaries, but maybe revisit with the technology that's available now to see what's acceptable and what isn't.
Okay, fascinating stuff, Sauls, as ever, mate. Thank you so much. As for Tariq, we'll be seeing him more in the 100. One thing he certainly is his box office. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, it is box office. Can I just mention today, I'm at Worcester, and it's the day for Josh Baker today, the left-arm spinner that sadly passed away a couple of years ago. So hopefully it's a hugely successful day for their charities that they're doing at Worcester today.
Yeah, it's a great cause and a truly tragic story. Hope it goes well today, Sauls. Have a good game and have a beautiful day out there in Worcester. Thanks for joining us.
Lovely to chat, guys.
But still coming up on today's show, we speak to Scotland's captain, Richie Berrington, on the new World Cup format. We look back at what Phil says is the best bowling performance of all time.
It is, though, officially.
And Will shows us what has been going on inside dressing rooms. But first, let's go through a news roundup.
There has been plenty of cricketing stories from around the world, and arguably one of the biggest was in club cricket, and I'm sure you know the story. But Ben Stokes has been selling out grounds for Durham in the One Day Cup, and in the same tournament, an IPL batting star has been tearing it up with the ball. India's Ishan Kishan is back as the number one T20 ranked batter after a good series against Zimbabwe, and in test matches, India have picked an uncapped 33-year-old for their squad to face Sri Lanka. It was a good week to be a cricketing brother, as Craig Overton got one over on his twin brother Jamie in the 100. But Asa Tribe's brother, Zach Tribe, smashed 6 sixes in an over against a county cricketer on his way to a double 100. And another brother making headlines is Billy Constas, the brother of Australia's Sam Constas, as he's been called up to play for Greece's national team in a bid to qualify for the 2028 Olympics. A London-based team called Old Imperial CC are going to go on a cricket tour to Mongolia. And Wanandu Hasaranga refused to take the easiest run-out opportunity in the Lanka Premier League as the ball deflected off the non-striker batter. And more sportsmanship saga as Mitchell Santner reviewed a run out on himself despite the umpire not being that interested in it in the first place, only to be given out upon review. And finally, Joe Root and Stephen Fleming have been appointed as England's new Test captain and head coach. You can check out all these stories by going to the Wisden.com website.
A couple of weeks ago, the ICC announced that they'd come up with a new structure for the 2027 Cricket World Cup, essentially introducing an extra qualifying round for the bottom 3 ranked teams in the competition. It's been described as a way of cutting a 14-team World Cup down to 12 teams by stealth. And one of the teams in with a chance of being affected are Scotland, currently battling for qualification for the World Cup. I wanted to get another sense of this, so I spoke to Richie Berrington, Scotland's skipper, earlier in the week. What was your immediate reaction, dare I ask, upon hearing the news that the format had been changed?
Yeah, look, I think obviously I was taken a bit by surprise. I think everyone was hopeful and kind of had an understanding that we were going to be moving back towards a 14-team World Cup, which is obviously really exciting. It presents more opportunity, especially for the associate countries. I mean, I remember the last one we went to in 2015 was 14 teams, and there's obviously great memories from that. And I think what that did for us as a team and players and the exposure we got only helped us. And also to see the interest in the game, particularly in Scotland around that time, seeing your country playing a World Cup, is obviously really special. It's the pinnacle for any player. So yeah, I was obviously disappointed to see that that's now changed with the structure. I think particularly at this late stage, obviously we're going into our last series next week in the World Cricket League, which is obviously part of the qualification process. So I think it's just trying to, understand the reasoning behind those kind of decisions, because obviously it has quite a big impact on teams like us.
Yeah, indeed. And trying to understand it is a challenge for all of us, really. Some of our viewers won't know how it all works going into qualifying for a World Cup. Can you explain it to us? It's as far as we can gather, a 44 match league over 3 years, then a qualifying tournament, and now it's all that just to qualify for another qualifier. Is that broadly it?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly made the qualification process a lot different to what we first expected. Obviously now for us at this stage, it was always going to be a case of we want to finish in the top 4 of the World Cricket League, because that takes you directly to the World Cup qualifier. And yeah, I guess from then on, it's if you finish in the top 4 of that qualifier, you're going straight to a World Cup, which is obviously a huge opportunity. And it's look, don't get me wrong, it's a long road to get there, and I think for us, nations like ourselves, it's our biggest chance to play obviously in the world stage and against the best teams.
Have you spoken as skipper of your national side? Has the ICC spoken to you or the CEO at Cricket Scotland to try and explain the thinking behind this shift?
No, as I say, that's probably one of the difficult things. I didn't see that decision coming, and I guess it makes it harder to kind of understand when you've not sort of been part of any of those discussions, because obviously it does have quite a big impact, particularly on teams like ourselves. And whether I'm not sure whether Cricket Scotland would have been part of those discussions or not. But I know that's something they'll be looking to get a bit more detail on, to just understand it a little bit more and see the sort of reasoning behind that sort of change, especially at this stage of the qualification process.
So when the goalposts then have moved as they are, does it affect your motivation? Does it affect your energy levels for continuing to keep fighting and moving Scottish cricket forward?
Look, it obviously makes it harder for teams like ourselves to get into a World Cup. But I guess, as associate nations, we probably don't always get these kind of opportunities. Out with the World Cup, I guess all you really want is kind of, we're all trying to take that next step in the game. How can we play more games at a higher level against the best teams? And obviously a World Cup is probably the one clear opportunity that you have to do that at the moment. So yeah, seeing that change is obviously difficult, but I guess, that's something we're always going to keep striving to do. I think for us, it's, as I say, that's the opportunity in front of us, and we have to do everything we can to keep knocking on that door and showing that we're good enough to compete at that level, and show if we get enough of that exposure, we can, start to have more success.
Do you feel that cricket is too much of a closed shop generally, and that this is a further example of it?
Look, I think, as I said at the start, it's to have that excitement again of thinking, right, we're going to start moving back towards, more teams in the World Cup. I think we saw it in the T20 World Cup. From my perspective, there seemed to be a lot of positivity around that. I think we've seen over the years some great stories coming out of World Cups, especially with associate nations and some of the results some of the teams have had. So I think it's, we're all here to try and grow the game, and obviously for us as a country, as I said, play against these bigger teams. There's more exposure, but also the wider picture is we're trying to inspire that next generation that's coming through. and that's the kind of impact being involved in these kind of tournaments has.
Yeah, indeed. And what is the more general culture of Scottish cricket at the moment? In what degree of health do you find that it's in?
Yeah, I think, well, as I said before, we had quite a clear idea of what we were trying to do. I think the World Cricket League's been really good for associate cricket. We've had a lot more regular cricket through the year, and you've been exposed to playing in different conditions all around the world, and it's a really competitive league that we're in, especially what people are playing for at the end of the day. But as I said before, ultimately it's you want to be able to take that next step, and I think it's just having a clearer idea what that pathway is for us to look to achieve that. As a team, we're always, as I say, our job is to go out there and keep trying to perform and win games to show that we can keep competing at that level. And we just want to have a better idea of some of these decisions that are made, because it has a huge impact, obviously, on us as a cricketing nation and other emerging nations too. You want to have that clarity on exactly what it is you need to do to keep moving forward, because that's what we're all trying to do.
Of course. Next week, then, it gets really serious. So, a couple of games in Dundee on home turf against UAE and Canada. How are you tracking for those two? How do you feel as a squad?
Yeah, I think on the whole, pretty good. I think we've found ourselves in a good position at the moment on the table, but there's obviously still a bit of work to do to make sure we guarantee that top 4 position to get direct entry into that qualifier, which, as we've discussed, is going to be is hugely important with the opportunity at stake. So I think for us, we've had some really good performances throughout this cycle, and I think obviously playing at home, it'll be a nice way to finish, but we want to finish that strong.
Fabulous. Okay, well, you're third in the table. UAE and Canada are up next. A couple of wins and you should be fine for that qualifier. Best of luck next week, Richie, and thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers, Phil. Thanks for having me on.
Will?
Phil.
Give me some social media.
Oh, you're going to get some today. We're going inside the changing rooms of various teams. So over the last few days, there's been some unique social posts coming out of some cricket clubs, in particular 2 from the 100. And we'll start with the Sunrisers Leeds. Now, I'm sure a few of you have seen this video. Phil and Regina, you might have seen it. But basically what happened was they've made a team song. And I want to break it down so people can understand, A, why they've done it, and B, how bad it actually is.
I have seen this, but I've seen 5 seconds of it, and I could not.
We're going to get it all here. So I've broken it down. We'll play it now. It's a rework of a song used by Leeds United Football Club called Marching On Together. So this is what it should sound like. Easy.
Sure.
I can't. That's very football.
That's enough.
And this is Sunrisers Leeds version.
Here we go, Sunrisers Leeds. We're gonna give the lads a hand.
Awful. All reading from a little sheet.
So this is the 100's dilemma, isn't it? Developing meaning for its local area.
When you go
and failing miserably.
When you go to a wedding and they force you to read the hymns and stuff, this is literally what it reminds me of. It literally is.
Or a funeral.
I thought that was it. But then I was on YouTube and I saw a London Spirit documentary from their first game, and right at the very end of that video, there was a team song. And this is what it is. So again, it's a rework.
This year's London Spirit?
This year's London Spirit. It's a rework of DJ Otzi's Hey Baby.
Right.
You might not know that from the song name, but you'll definitely know it. Let's listen. This is what it's should sound like. Ooh.
Yeah, but please say it's in a cricket song. Yeah, I know. It does.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my god! And the worst bit is Deandra Dotson is in the middle of the thing. Deandra Dotson, the most quiet cricketer in the world.
It's a tough
at least
watch.
there's a bit of gusto in that.
Yeah,
they've pulled it off.
It's not
Now
awful.
we're talking.
Yeah, so
Now
I
we're
thought to bring it
talking.
all together and to make you happy and everyone happy in this room, actually, we'll get rid of the cringy stuff and we'll get onto the serious stuff. So
I love this.
Roston Chase, the West Indies Test captain, along with the whole squad after their Test win against Pakistan, put out a heartfelt message to the world in recognition of the great Sir Garfield Sobers, and it's just beautiful.
On behalf of the West Indies senior cricket men's team, we would like to dedicate this victory to the late, great Sir Garfield Sobers. He's a legend of the game, a hero of everyone in this dressing room. He's done everything on the cricket field, and it's so iconic that he would have been 90 years old today, and we won by 90 runs. So it was destined for him. We had a chat about trying to make him feel special in his grave, and I hope he's smiling on us right now. So, Sir Garfield Sobers, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done for West Indies cricket. And we've tried to make you proud. We hope you're happy, and may you continue to rest in peace. Thanks.
Effortlessly brilliant.
That's cricket.
No
Like,
words
that's cricket.
needed.
He's a proper leader. I've always
Yeah.
told you, Roston Chase is the coolest cat in world cricket. I've told you this for many, many years. Anyway,
That's how
great
you do
stuff.
it.
Cheers, Will.
If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all of our Scoop episodes. And our latest Scoop Extended was with Mohammad Amir, all things Pakistan and a whole lot more. So go check it out. Give us a like and subscribe. Okay, it is Friday, and that means one thing only, Flashback Friday. And we've got a bit of all sorts going on today, Phil. We're going to go back to 2017 first.
Yeah, 9 years ago today, one English off-spinner took a hat-trick at the 100th Test match at the Oval.
At the Oval, yes, Mr.
You
Moeen
remember it,
Ali.
Regina?
I
You were
do,
watching it with your granddad?
Yeah, I was. Obviously, Moeen Ali is just like such a staple in the household because obviously British Asian to play for England.
Yeah.
But I remember this hat trick so clearly because I remember when he took it, he said it's the first hat trick he's ever had in any format of the game. So it was,
And
it
it
was
spread
really
across
special.
2 overs?
Yeah, I remember like eagerly waiting for the next over. You're kind of praying that no one else gets a wicket just for him. And he doesn't give it.
Doesn't give it. It's a DRS moment.
A delayed celebration, but what a celebration it was. Moeen Ali's arms in the air. It was fantastic. It was actually the first hat trick by English spinner in 79 years up to that point.
So going back almost as far for part 2 of this.
Yes.
70 years ago today, the original, the OG, Jim Laker, very different character, different style to Mo, but one of the first great off-spinners to play for England, and he took 10 wickets in a day to take 19 across the game in an Ashes Test match at Old Trafford in 1956. It remains the greatest individual match performance by any Test cricketer in history, and he took all 10. Meanwhile, at the other end was his spin partner, his brother-in-arms, Tony Locke. They both played for Surrey and England together for many, many years. Tony Locke was a left armer. Jim Laker was a right armer. And Tony Locke took 1 for 106 and Jim took 19 wickets. And as the day rolled on, Locke, who was quite a combustible kind of character, got more and more angry and furious as Laker would just chip away, taking one after the other one end, and Locke was going through it. 1 for 106 across the whole game, and was apparently blowing a gasket by the end of it. It's worth showing because check out the reaction to the wickets compared to the reaction to Mo's wickets. Talk about a different generation. At one point, he gets an Australian out caught in second slip, and he just puts his hands on his hips. Like he's just forgotten to turn the kettle off and he's left the house or something. It's remarkable. And he walks off with his jumper over his shoulder. He drove back from Old Trafford back down to London and stopped off for a cheese sandwich, apparently, at a motorway station.
What a way to celebrate.
What a way to celebrate the greatest ever performance by a bowler in the history of Test cricket. Okay, that's another one in the bag. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to the team as ever. Thanks to our interviewees, Richie and Sauls and Roha. We'll be back next Tuesday for more good stuff. Join us then.
Check out some of our previous episodes by clicking right here. And if you want even more, take a look at our Scoop Extended interviews. Recently, Phil spoke to Mohammad Amir, so make sure you go check that out.